Okay, we need to talk about this. I've seen enough. We got time on our side. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Lizzie. I am a mama of two, a boy, a girl, ages 3 and 1. And today we are going to get into a little bit of drama again, because this just keeps coming up. So yeah, we're going to talk about the SOLODAD, aka Chris, who does content on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all the social media avenues about being a solo dad. On my last video, we kind of touched about like the morality of being called a solo dad when you're not one, what your thoughts were on that, what his content is actually putting out there, has he addressed having a wife, all the things. And since then, he has posted 3 videos. I think one was a vlog and 2 of them were kind of hinting as to him answering the question. But we're gonna get into it today because we got some updates. We got some tea to talk about. About a week or 2 ago, he posted a video calling it an updates Q&A video, answering a lot of the people's burning questions. And in the thumbnail, he did have things like, let's see what the thumbnail actually said. Why is no one ready? So, in the thumbnail, he had updated Q&A, divorced, question mark, solo parenting, question mark, wife, question mark, lying, question mark, single parenting, question mark, broke dad, question mark, fostering, question mark, and more kids, question mark. So, we thought we were going to get all the juicy info, but yet he was still being very vague in his Q&A. I'll show you exactly what I mean in this next clip here.
You sure you have a wife?
Okay, like, why not just answer the question?
Why not hire a cleaner?
Why did you have to say, are you sure you have a wife? And then why don't you have a nanny? Like, why are we moving on to the next question when we didn't just answer the last one? That's like the main reason about why you should have made a Q&A in the first place, because everybody out there is asking the same thing. Where is your wife? Do you have a wife? Is the wife in the picture? What is going on? And yet you still refuse to answer it. So that kind of leaves the audience thinking, okay, so that's still not a fully committed answer there, bro. What are we doing? Are we lying about it? Are we purposefully lying about it so that we can get sympathy views? Or is there something else going on behind the scenes? Because he did also mention something in the video that I could totally relate to, and I think a lot of parents out there of littles can relate to, but he did mention something about how I can see why people get divorced so often when the kids are little. Like, it is tough, we don't see each other, blah, blah, blah. Bro, I'm in the same boat. I have a husband who works 60 to 80 hours a week. I am always by myself. I do not have help and support from like my family like that to where I can just reach out for a helping hand. So I get it, totally get it. And I get the vibe of wanting to start a channel for other people out there that are solo parenting as well. But we first need to break down what solo parenting versus single parenting versus solo dad, all that stuff means. Solo parenting is when a single parent raises a child without a spouse or a partner. It could be temporary or permanent situation. Like choice, a parent may choose to become parent. Parent without waiting for what? A death, separation, abuse, work. Parents may become a solo parent due to work obligations. Who defined this? I did want to define that term because it's been poorly defined before. A lot of people are taking it as solo parenting is the same as single parenting, which it is absolutely not. And I am going to give Chris credit in this department because the term solo parenting, if we break it apart, the word solo means like done by oneself, on their own, unaccompanied, alone. It means by yourself, solo. Right? Then the word parenting is like an activity. It means like in the act of being a parent, doing duties that one does when you are a parent. You're in the act of parenting. So solo parenting can be relevant in this situation because you are doing the act of being a parent by yourself. Now, when you call yourself the solo dad, alone dad, solo dad, that's giving off a whole different vibe. The term itself is giving off, I'm a single dad. I'm an alone dad for death, divorce, or otherwise, but there is no wife in the picture, which is not very forthcoming with what reality is. There is a difference, and single parenting is pretty freaking obvious about what that means. It means you are a single parent, the other spouse is not in the picture, and you're parenting as well. That's what we can kind of, you know, give that off to. That's what we can kind of like shake that off to me, okay? Now, when we see the solo dad being so weird about the topic of his wife and then only answering it like once or twice, but very vaguely, and like, let's just not talk about it at all. Like, let's just keep giving the vibe off that I'm like a single dad. It's just giving off very scammy vibes. It's giving off very like, I want my audience to feel sorry for me. And there's lots of people that like in his comment section will say like, oh my gosh, you're doing such a great job. You're like an amazing dad. You're a superhero dad. Like everybody don't skip the ads on his videos. Do it for the poor children. Like blah, 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 blah. Like this man is struggling. He's struggling in many ways. He's struggling because he doesn't have a woman in his life, and he's struggling financially too because he's trying to do it all on his own. I'm sorry, but you're a physician's assistant, right? Like last I checked, starting off in Florida, the rate of pay is like $90K. And then once you have experience in the field, depending on how many years of experience you have, it can go upwards to $125, $150K, even more so depending on how much experience you've had, even though he's only been in the medical field for like 7 or 8 years. The point is, if you're making over $90K, I don't think you're struggling that much. And you're not by yourself, so there is another income along with that. It is a 2-income household, in other words, because your wife also works, and she's also in the medical field, which, hello, is not a McDonald's, retail, whatever job. It is a good job, a good paying job as being a nurse or whatever you do in the medical field. So now you have 2 incomes, 1 household. That house that you live in looks pretty dang nice, okay? Not just any poor person off the street can actually qualify to get a house like that. Obviously, you had enough dough to be able to get that house. And you have you have so much following on all your social media platforms. I just can't fathom the idea that you're broke, like that you're actually like, don't have money. You did mention though, wanting to make this like your full-time job, YouTube your full-time job, and like going away from the medical field so that you can just focus on parenting. Did mention that in the Q&A, but like you have to make enough to make it feasible, right? So you have to be like, okay, getting rid of my 90K, 100K job is worth it at this point because I'm making so much more on YouTube that it could be a wash. It could be like as if I had the 2 jobs still.
Hi, future editing Lizzie here. So the solo dad did post on one of his stories on Instagram something very interesting that I wanted to sneak in here because it makes a lot of sense now. So he did post a story talking about how he's excited to homeschool his children next year and kind of giving off the vibe that he's not going to be returning to work next year and that he's going to be making YouTube and TikTok and whatever his full-time job. I'm going to insert the clip right here so that you guys can see for yourself.
I cannot wait to homeschool him next year.
And this here is where I think the problem lies. I don't think that it's necessarily an issue that he wanted to make YouTube his full-time career, and that he wanted to make a profile featuring him solo parenting when his wife is away. I think it's the sneaky way in which he went about it. Like if that was your goal and you were trying to fish for the views, you didn't have to exacerbate it by trying to get all these sympathy views and these sympathy likes. Like a lot of the reason why people are giving him money and buying things off his Amazon wish list and subscribing and not skipping the ads is for the reason that they think that he is a single parent who either had a wife that died, divorced, or whatever, and is no longer in the picture, and therefore he needs all the help that he can get. So he's manipulating his audience so that he can make his goals a reality, which I totally get goal hunting. Baby, I get it. If you wanted to make YouTube your full-time career, I think that's what a lot of us YouTubers here are trying to do, but you don't have to manipulate your audience and be kind of sneaky about it. Like it just, something about this just seems gross. And I think that's what people are so mad about.
There's a lot of weird comments made in his videos all the time about how like we don't buy new clothes for our kids. This was in his last video, by the way, the one after the Q&A where he was like kind of vlogging and he was like, dealing with the hate in the thumbnail. Yet I watched the video from beginning to end and never did he once address how he's dealing with.
Actually, I'm about to plug in a clip where he makes the tiniest little mention of anything relating to drama. And I mean tiny. Just keep watching. You'll see what I'm talking about.
The hate. So you're clearly misleading your audience there too with like a false thumbnail.
She's getting off work early.
Houston, we have an admission of a wife.
It's just been like so much drama.
This was the only comment he made about addressing the hate, by the way.
He was just saying some weird things like, just like, oh, we never really buy new clothes for the kids. All of the clothes that they have is like either hand-me-downs or from the thrift store. And yeah, it's just really hard. Like, I'm not poor, but we do live paycheck to paycheck. Okay, I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around that because you have a huge following on all your social media platforms. That alone would make you not poor. And you have a 2-income household, very good at high-paying jobs here. I don't know. Seems a little weird to me. Seems a little sketch to me. Someone in the comments below in my last video mentioned that he doesn't wear a wedding ring in his videos, which is kind of odd. That he maybe does that on purpose. But then I also know a lot of people like in the medical field or in jobs that require a lot of like hands-on stuff. They might take off their wedding ring because it can be a hazard or uncomfortable or unhygienic. So that kind of made sense to me as to, maybe that's the reason why he's doing it. But it just seems wrong in combination with all the other shady stuff about trying to hide the fact that he has a wife or whatever. Now, a lot of people did mention that on the Dad podcast, he was threatening Josh's wife, which I read the DM. It's a little out there, bro. It's a little out there as far as the reality goes. I'm gonna put the DM right here so that you guys can read it, and I'll also read it out loud. It says, "Hi Kathy, my name is Chris, and I am a dad of 3 who makes content trying to encourage dads to be more active in their kids' lives and to be better parents by showing me solo parenting. Your husband is harassing, bullying me, and doxing my personal information, putting my kids' safety at risk. I already contacted the FBI, and I will be contacting your local police department in Canada. Does the board of nursing and your hospital know what your husband is doing? It's illegal. And in Canada, you can be arrested for 6 years if found guilty. I have screenshots, recordings, pics, emails of every time he has contacted me, and I've had enough. Please tell him to leave me and my family alone." Okay, first of all, you put your kids out on the internet. So like those pictures, those images, they already existed. Josh just simply had to do some cut and pasting and like, we're talking about it, right? He's a commentary channel, so he's commenting on whatever you're doing in those videos with your kids' pictures and whatever. So that's not him putting your kids at risk. That's you putting your kids at risk because you put your kids on the internet. So that's like a choice. That was like a choice that you made, right? Second of all, the FBI, oh my God. Okay, the FBI has a lot bigger fish to fry. Like, I'm sorry, but that just seems so far-fetched to me that it's like, are we here? Are we right here? Are we okay right here? Let's break it down too. Does the board of nursing and your hospital know what your husband is doing? Why would the board of nursing and hospital board care about what somebody else's spouse is doing out there in the freaking world? Like, that's not the person that we employed. We're not going to keep track of all our employees and their spouses and what they are doing. And by the way, it isn't illegal to be doing commentary videos. Like, I don't know where this guy gets this from. Like, hello, dude, it's the internet. Like, you can talk about other people's content and have an open discussion about it. That's what we're doing here today. I am not doxing you. I am not hurting you in any way. There's no illegal activity happening here. It's just a conversation between adults or people watching this. You could be arrested for 6 years if found guilty of what? I have screenshots, recordings, and pics of emails of every time that he has contacted me, and I have had enough. Okay, so it sounds like right there, like he's trying to build a case for like harassment. And, you know, the more documentation that you have in that department, the easier it is to prove harassment. So, okay, whatever. You're trying to build a case on that. Good luck in small claims court, okay? Because that's not going to actually be a thing. I've seen so much content out there, like reviewing his videos and like fine-tooth combing through them and being like, oh, look at that. Like you could see the shadow of the wife right there in that video. And like, oh, she's in the background over there. And like all these things, like people playing detective out there to try to find out if or not he has a wife, because he's not forthcoming about it on his own. So, you know, that's just, have you not heard of fair use? Have we not heard of the fair use? I'll plug it in right here, what this means. This is fair use, okay? When you're talking about other people's content. Anyway, we're gonna watch another clip here because this was just ridiculous. Like, you gotta see this.
So I was going to play the clip in here, but he has been threatening a lot of channels, especially small channels like mine, with copyright claims. So basically all he said in the clip was that when he came up with the name for SOLODAD, there was already a lot of names taken, and he came up with the SOLODAD like at 3 a.m. after his daughter was like about a month old, because he wanted to create a channel about solo parenting, which is reasonable, totally understandable. Like, I love that idea. In fact, it's a very unique perspective. We don't always get to see the dad parenting, especially solo. So I thought it was cute and made sense. Like, you wanted something short and concise. And yeah, it doesn't seem that unreasonable to name yourself that. It's just all the other scudsy stuff that came along after that, with giving off the impression that you're a single dad, not a solo parenting dad.
Okay, so we're gonna stop there, because he did define what single and solo parenting is, you know, to him. The internet defines it a little differently, but I think it's because of like DC widowers internet, like a website. It was like some specific person that defined it out there. It wasn't like a Google definition, because solo parenting really isn't like a thing. It's like whatever you're perceiving it to be. But when he mentioned naming his channel the SOLODAD, he said that that's why he decided to name it, because he was going to be doing a lot of solo parenting. And that makes sense to me. That does. That makes sense as to like, I mean, you wouldn't call yourself like the solo parenting dad. Like, I guess that just doesn't ring right. You need it to be like short and concise, especially if you're trying to build a following and to make it easy for the people to remember. So the SOLODAD, it kind of just makes sense. But it's just in the way in which he went about it that I think is pissing a lot of people off. Is like, if you were to say, so here we go again, like my wife's, you know, she's on a 14-hour shift. It's like the third day in a row. My God, that's why my house looks like this. Let's get to cleaning. Let's get to doing whatever, like whatever, right? You're mentioning at least the fact that you have a wife. You're addressing the issue as to why the house is in such disarray because of the long working hours and the time away from the home, but that there is at least a wife in the picture. And it wouldn't be attacking people and deleting comments down below because someone is saying like, hey, where's your wife? Is the wife in the picture? Did she die? Like all these things. And then you delete the comments. That seems a little scutsy, doesn't it? I don't know. It does to me. Actually, I mean, I don't know. It just seems a little like you're trying to paint a picture for the reason of manipulating people. Because you want them to feel sorry for you. You want people to send you stuff on an Amazon wish list. That is just so strange to me that you would even create one for people to like send you stuff. Like, I don't know. It seems weird. And that's what I think is making everybody kind of question the situation. So, yeah. We're going to watch another clip here. And then again, I don't want to put too many clips on here. Actually, I might not even put it on here because what he's doing is that he's actually flagging channels. Oh, shoot. I hope he doesn't. Don't show him this because I don't want him to flag this channel. barely got to 1,000 subscribers, and yay, I'm super happy about that, but I don't want to lose this channel because he's flagging channels that are doing commentary for the purpose of copyright infringement. Like, dude, no, it's fair use. Have you never seen like people do commentary on YouTube? Like, that's like all there is, I feel like, nowadays on there. So anyway, okay, so he did mention that he doesn't make any money on Instagram, and that his RPMs are super low for TikTok, and that for YouTube they're just like, he just kind of like brushed that off, like whatever. You have over 300,000 subscribers on YouTube. That is not a small feat to overcome here. And like, you do make money off ads, because I see the ads on the videos that he's putting. So I'm just a little confused as to how you're not making any money. Your RPMs are super low on TikTok. I don't know why. Each one of his videos are getting millions and millions of views. From my understanding, you're making pretty good money when you're getting millions and millions of views on TikTok. So it just seems a little weird there. I could see why on Instagram you're not making any money. I feel like nobody makes money on Instagram, but Instagram's just one of those things that it's like, it's just an advertising platform at this point. You just advertise products, and if you're not doing it through sponsorships, then you're not getting money. So I can see that. Okay, so you're talking again about being poor, and you can't just go to the store and buy whatever you want. Just more manipulation tactics, if you ask me. Okay, so there we go. We addressed the wife and we addressed the drama in a 2-second clip. So he did mention in this video saying, yeah, my wife's getting off early. I think I'm just gonna take the kids to the beach. Hey, so we hear of a wife for the first time ever after all of these people are bringing up the drama? I think it's because he knows he's being called out that now he has to kind of make it more obvious that he does have a wife. Because he seems disingenuous to his audience. And that's, that's exactly it, is what was going on. People want to know that they're not being fooled. And so he did address the wife, and that he did address, because there's just been so much drama. That's not addressing the hate. Your like thumbnail says you're going to be addressing the hate, but you didn't really address it. You just said there's been so much drama. That's a statement. That's a like a thought, in the breeze. Like, that's not really a freaking addressing the drama or talking about it, or saying, I'm sorry, I didn't make it seem like my wife didn't, she just didn't want to be on videos. She didn't want to be talked about, so I wanted to keep her private. Like, no addressing of that at all. So I think that that's why, it's just an even bigger issue. You made it relatable to parents that are also single parenting. And single parents started being, open with you in the comment section and trying to relate to you when you weren't really in that standing to take that title. The SOLODAD title, I could see why that was a choice. It's a catchy name. It makes sense. Like, it's concise, it's short, sweet. It's something that, we can understand. But I think if it was followed up with more transparency, more authenticity about, my wife works really long shifts, so I'm solo parenting all the time. I'm doing the act of solo parenting, but I am not single, right? Obviously. Like, that would have been so refreshing to see. And I still watch his content. I'm still going to continue to watch his content, because I know what it is, and I know what he's trying, to do with the views. You were just trying to fish for the views. Like, that's what it was. You were trying to fish for the sympathy votes out there, and you wanted people to sit through the whole ads. So you made this little sad story about, just being on the struggling dad bus over here, just doing it all on your own. Which you would have gotten the credit for anyway. That's what's so perplexing to me. Doing the act of solo parenting is not an easy feat. And this is coming from someone like me that does it all the time. So I totally get it. Like, sometimes I go days and days without relief from my husband. And I have a 2 and a 1-year-old who are very needy and you've got to be very hands-on with, littles that age. So I totally get that he wanted a platform to which he got the views from doing an act that is usually a mother's role, but like as a dad, That is unique. That is something that we don't see out there on the social media platforms. I think that he would have still developed a following if he was just forthcoming about it and if he was just honest about it. But now that he was just so like sneaky about there even being a wife, it just seems a little scudzy. And I kind of see his content in a little bit of a different light. Like now I'm starting to question how many things were actually calculated decisions or were actually like formulated to look a certain way. Because if you're not going to be forthcoming with your audience about, you know, you actually not being a single dad, and it's like, what else are you lying to your audience about, right? It's kind of like that feeling. But the act of solo parenting itself, there's lots of, I mean, I used to watch content from like Tara Henderson and Bits of Brie and, you know, Megan Acuna and Kilean Rodriguez, where they would do my solo night routines, my solo morning routines. Like I wanted to look at other women, other people doing parenting on their own and how hard it can look like, how hard it could be, how trashed your house can end up, and like the chaos of it all. I wanted to be able to relate, and I still do. So like I'm still always looking out there for content that's relatable to me and in my life, like solo parenting content. But I just didn't want to be fooled, you know, that you were doing a lot more than was being perceived. So what do you guys think? Is it immoral? Is it manipulating? Is this scudsy to you too? What parts of it are scudsy? What parts do you think are being that he's going too far in? And what are your guys' thoughts in general about the solo dad and the SOLODAD's content? What are your thoughts on solo parenting? And is it misleading to say that you're solo parenting when you have a partner but they just happen to not be there? A lot of people, you know, agree that it might be misleading because you're saying that you're a single parent when you're not. I kind of want to know your guys' thoughts. I want to know your guys' thoughts on it because I want to see if, like, I want to make sure that the content I'm putting out there isn't, you know, hurting everyone or making them feel like they're being misled by me. When I do a solo night in my life routine, I'm doing it, you know, from the innocent side of, hi, I wanted other moms out there who are also having a rough night with their kiddos and they've been with them all day and now all night and now all day the next day and now all night again. Like I wanted them to feel like, hey, other women are out there doing the same thing. And I don't want to say women because now, hello, there's like dads out there also doing it, right? Right, Chris? So I don't want to make them feel left out over here, but I always mention it, I think, in every single one of my videos where I am solo parenting. I'm like, oh my God, I'm solo parenting again. My husband hasn't come home in 2 days. Like, he's not coming home again tonight. So I'm super burnt out. The house looks like crap. And I, of course, haven't showered. And it's a whole thing. You know, I put it out there. I'm never giving off the vibe that I'm single or that my husband's no longer at the picture and that he left me, you know, to go buy milk and that's why I'm parenting his children on my own. So let me know because I might be offending someone out there and I don't know. And I don't really like, actually, I know for a fact I'm offending someone out there. It's the internet. There's millions of people out there in the world. It'd be impossible not to offend at least one person, right? Anyways, guys, I appreciate you so much for sticking through to the end of this video, if you are. And if you did stick through to the end of this video, comment the secret word, which is solo sass. Like, wait, that sounds weird. We're not doing that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of this video, sticking with it. I know that there was a lot of stuff to get into, but I super appreciate every single one of you for being here today. And if you did make it to the end of the video, come here. Come here. Comment the word silk down below, okay? That way, I know how many of you actually made it to the end of the video. And if you want to see more content about all things motherhood, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It'd help me out a lot. And I will see you guys in the next one.
You glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you